Hey, good morning. I am with the fantastic Scott MacKenzie today.
Yeah. Thanks, man. That's a great intro. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Should I give you a round of applause?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a real honor to be on this particular live with you.
Yeah.
Employee retention, important topic.
So,
now.
yeah, so important. As a matter of fact, that Scott MacKenzie left his home in Louisiana to come all the way up to Cleveland to work with some of our manufacturers up here. So
I did. And I'm telling you, there's something special up there in Northeast Ohio. And that is true. I'm all big into that location. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of Northeast Ohio now. It's because of you and Minnie.
Well, that is awesome. Well, if you're not familiar with Scott, and I can't even imagine that you wouldn't be, because of course he's everywhere, but Scott is the extraordinary podcaster for the Industrial Talk podcast. So yeah. Scott, you've been doing that for a while. You know, what is it about manufacturing that really makes that your passion?
I think manufacturers as a whole, we take them for granted, and they just deliver services and solutions that we just take for granted. And without them, our lives are better because of manufacturers. Our lives have been changed because of manufacturers. And it's not just individually, it's around the world. That's why it's so passionate. We celebrate manufacturers, industry, you name it, on the podcast, because you're changing lives. It's a beautiful story, and you do it without any fanfare each and every day. You just do it. And, you know, and Lisa, here's the funny story. So when we got hit by COVID, and there was this big old rush on toilet paper, big rush, and then all of a sudden it's all gone. Then all of a sudden you realize how important manufacturing is, how important the supply chain is, how important all of this stuff is, because it's not there anymore. And you just realized it was just done. And it's just done efficiently and effectively and competitively. And it's a beautiful thing. That's why I can keep going on and on. I'm not going to.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, if you just if you're watching this and you just turned around, looked all around you today, every single thing, whether you're in your plant, you're in your office, or in your home, doesn't matter, was made by someone. And until we do something like run out of toilet paper, we don't really know or pay attention to the luxuries that we have because of manufacturing.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there. There's a drive for innovation, right? They don't just stop like, okay, I'm producing the Model A. No, there's tremendous innovation. And it never, ever stops. People constantly think on how to produce it better, more effectively, greater quality. It never ends. There's that competition, and so everybody's looking for that advantage, but that's the dynamics that exist each and every day in manufacturing.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's not like it's back in the day, your grandfather's factory where it was noisy and dirty and, nobody really cared. I mean, now you walk into these plants, the technology is unbelievable. And even with all that technology, we still have a shortage of manufacturing people going into it, because we have to change the conversation and let people know how cool it is, how much technology, what you're going to be exposed to, and continue to make people's lives better every single day.
Yeah, and when if you were around manufacturing, if you're around industry, there are buzzwords, and it all revolves around Industry 4.0 and the ability to be able to capture data effectively, efficiently, and be able to analyze that data and be able to create tactical decisions from that data to be better. That requires a different type of thinking. That requires different skills. And to your point, Lisa, that old picture of your dad working in a factory, it's a completely different environment today. Completely. Right. And it's all due through innovation and technology. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's a bright future. Yeah. Manufacturing's a bright future.
Well, and we look at the fact that there are a ton of jobs available now, and there will
Yeah.
be more in the future. I looked up to see the most current statistics yesterday, and they're projecting like 2.8 million jobs are going to go unfilled by 2028. So it's like that's the
Wow.
whole point of this retention summit, that if you find people, or when you find people and you bring them into your plan, it is more important than ever to keep them, because they're not that easy to find anymore. And just, looking for those people who are passionate about what you do versus somebody coming in with a specific, package of skills with them. We look for culture,
Yeah.
right people in there, and make it work from there.
Lisa, I've done about 1,000 podcasts, and I've interviewed everybody. It seems I'm running out of people to interview. No, I'm not. Yeah, you twice.
You're just going.
So I'm at 999. I'm not giving you that. No. But what is interesting, and I can say this with a high level of confidence, that the technology is the technology, great innovation, got it. It always gets down to people and culture. Always. 100% of the time. Do you have the right team in place to be able to deploy this in technology? Do you have the right skill sets in place? Do you have and do you have a culture that is, sponsored by the big wig, the big cheese, the big decision maker, all the way down and saying, this is where we're going, this is why it's important. And it's people and culture every level. And if you create that environment, that everybody rowing in the right direction environment, and everybody's passionate about what you do, you've established all of the wonderful purpose statements and visions and missions and all of that stuff, and everybody's bought in, it's always down to people, and it's always down to culture. I don't care.
Well, and starting at the top too. I mean, this is not an HR function. Your employees are watching you. And if you're walking through that plant and you don't even know your people's name without looking at their shirt, or, you're just breezing by, not giving them the time of day, they're not going to be with you. They're going to look for somewhere else where at least they feel like they have a connection. They feel like what they're doing is making a difference. And that doesn't matter, no matter what it is that you're making.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. If you are on the floor and you're just doing your job, and somebody that has some sort of status or gravitas within your organization comes down and says, hey, Scott, thank you for what you're doing. Woohoo! Holy schmoly.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling. Mm-hmm. And that goes a long way. That reaps big time dividends.
Yeah. And how often are we still talking to people that are saying, why should I be thanking my employees for doing their job? They get thanked every Friday with their paycheck. It's like,
do they still do that?
Yeah. You know what? I hear it, and it makes me sad, because it's just a thank you. And it's just being specific. It's not saying thank you for the sake of thanks, whatever. It's being specific. It's letting people know that they are making a difference, because it doesn't matter. You can have the lowliest, first day hourly employee up to the person that's been with you for 30 years, and they all want to hear that they're making a difference. They all want that's a classic study back in the 1920s, that they were more productive when people were just actually watching them and not looking at them at ditch diggers, in a sense. Not to make a slam on ditch diggers, very important. That's sophisticated. But I can't believe that that's the case. You know what you need there, Lisa, and others? You need a yellow card and a red card, sort of like a soccer thing. And so when you hear something like that, you need to pull that yellow card out and say, I'm warning you right there. Don't make those I can't believe people actually do that still. Yeah. They still do. Well, and the funny thing is, when I'm doing my programs and somebody comes up to me afterwards, goes, my company really needs you, I know that there's a very little chance that company will ever bring me in, because it seems the companies that need it the most are the least likely to take action, because they don't get it. They think that the workers that they have is just a means to get the job done. And that's why you're still seeing, that 30% engagement rate, because you have companies that are really, really great at it at 80, 90% highly engaged employees, and then you have other companies that are still just, sucking at it.
I don't get it. And I mean, when you look out there, how many books exist out there that just talk about, and I about that, but this is a failure in leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just stunned that there are tons of books out there. There are tons. I mean, geez, just go on YouTube and look at. I mean, you can find Lisa out there. Listen, and it's a failure in leadership, and this whole COVID thing has really brought a spotlight on your leadership skills.
Yeah.
Some were able to say, okay, I got this. I'm going to help people through this. And others panicked and didn't do it well. And that's another failure. It's, once again, people culture. I'll just throw in leadership there too.
Yeah.
They struggle.
Well, and especially with COVID, because yes, the work still needs to get done, but now you have employees, whether they're in the plant or whether you still have remote employees, they're worried about their kids. Are they going to be in school? Or are they going to be out of school? Are they going to be able to visit their parents in the assisted living? Are they going to be able to, be around their immunocompromised people because they didn't feel that they were socially distanced at work? And that's tough too. How do you keep people socially distanced and keep them feeling safe? Making sure they have the right PPE, making sure that you're doing everything that you can, wearing masks, whether you believe they work or not, we're just coming at it from a point of respect, respect in the workplace, you're protecting others, and you're creating that type of culture that makes people want to work for you.
Here's a challenge. And I mean, we're social creatures. Yeah. And if I was in a manufacturing environment, there's a history there, right? And I'd go into the lunchroom and we would hang out and we'd talk about whatever, baseball, whatever it might be. We don't have that. We don't have that ability to be socially connected because we have to be, just per your point, we've got to be careful and we got to do the distancing. And I think that that's a challenge too. And that requires tremendous leadership, more so because people need to feel connected in some way, shape, and form. And if we're not doing that because we're trying to protect them, we've just got to be sensitive to that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And even if it's not in the shop, even if you're, you still have some remote employees and plant employees, to make sure that it's not just all about Zoom, because goodness knows there is all kinds of Zoom burnout going on, but making it fun. Having a show and tell day where people are actually showing the dogs and the cats that were,
right
in the background. I think we've just become a lot more human, and just letting ourselves kind of, let your hair down a little bit and have fun. Stop taking yourself so seriously.
And that's a good point, because we all understand the challenges with COVID. We understand the difficulty it brings on families and communities and so on. And we're very aware of that. But I believe that there's some real positives that have come as a result of that. And I think there's pinpoint focus on truly what is important. I think, to your point, that you can be real and people take you for that. It's like, it's just Scott being Scott. What the heck, Yeah. And I think that there's a greater acceptance of that. I think that there's been pre-virus, you sort of looked at things differently. You lollygagged here. It wasn't as sharp and pinpoint focus on what is important. Now everybody has, it's like, do I do that? No, that's just a waste of my time. I do this because and so I think people are just far more focused on what is important. And hopefully that translates into the retention component to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, people are important. And I think if you are a business that is trying to survive, which we are, and then the realities of the marketplace. So how do you rebuild in light of those realities of the market? And then how do you position yourself to prosper? And at the core and at the base of that is people, your employees. And you're not going to succeed if you don't have the right people. I don't care how much technology exists out there. I don't care. It's not a silver bullet. It requires people. Yeah. And I think that if you truly want to survive, rebuild, and prosper, you're going to have to.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're talking about on the summit. So this is just, giving you a little taste of, Scott's energy and the knowledge, and just the sense of fun that he's going to be bringing. Next week, the summit is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the 9th to the 11th. Scott is among the 25 experts that you'll be hearing from, all talking about retention, but coming at it from a slightly different angle. And as you can see, Scott's passion is on people, and that is really a big
it's everything.
Purpose. So yeah, so we will be together November 10th, next Tuesday, and you'll be on at 1:00 Eastern time. So make sure you join us. We'll have the links in this post. And I'm so looking forward to sharing more of your brilliance and energy at the Retention Summit for manufacturers.
I'm still struggling with expert. Yeah, that's a rough one. What's funny about this podcast is that I get to listen to people like you and others and get to interview them. It's like a PhD course each and every day, because I get to learn from the best. And I just soak it up like a sponge. I'm a selfish industrial sponge. And I don't have to worry about it. It's good stuff.
Well, good. And that's what we're encouraging everybody to be, selfish industrial sponges next week at the summit. So thanks again, Scott, for being with me this morning.
Absolute
and we'll see you at the summit.
I love it, man. Live.
Yep.